Welcome back to part three, final part of the Rise of Skywalker review with Jedi to Jedi. So let's get this one done. So plot points for this one. Where should we start on this one? I'm trying to
Well,
think.
I think the most important bit is the what could have yeah, if you disagree, please put in the comments. But what could have saved this travesty of three movies is I'm gonna put out. Yeah, you can disagree, put it in the comments. Is I what could have happened, and I know there are multiple fan edits about if we had false ghosts of the Jedi. When we apparently find out that all the Jedi are with Rey when she's fighting Palpatine, is literally have even if you just like there's nobody else there bar Anakin.
So they say at that moment in that scene, right, when she's speaking, you can hear, if you single out the voices, you can hear
Yeah.
Mace Windu, you can hear Ahsoka Tano, you can hear Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can hear Qui-Gon, you can hear Yoda, you can hear so many of these other Jedi.
Mm.
Now, if you're not like a proper nerd, you're not going to take the time to pause it and hear all
No.
this. And even if you do, the scene that I was told that we were going to get would have saved this movie for me. It would have saved it in a sense of it would have re-undone the plot of what up to this point they have done, but it would have saved the ending of this film. So obviously we get the whole expedition, as you said previously in the last one. You know, it explains about Palpatine and him creating this force dyad between these two, and if Rey is killed by Palpatine, then obviously in anger he will transfer into her and whatever else. And at this moment in time, it kind of led the plot to a point where it just didn't. It was completely gone. So Rey essentially has two lightsabers. She has, for some reason, was it Luke, and she has Leia's lightsaber she's using.
Well, that's that stupid point, isn't it? Because she has both, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And
Yes,
then
she's given
she does
Leia's lightsaber,
she
and then
does the
yeah, using the Force dyad, of course. You know, she just
when
gets need a little help, gets a little lightsaber, gets
because
from her back.
now because was it because Leia said Leia Ben, and then he spoke to and a memory of he had in his head of his father. Now Kylo's now redeemed himself, and
Yeah,
now he's now Ben Solo.
yeah.
And it's just like, okay, that's not redemption. It's just like you just
You just
changed
said
your
a line,
mind.
and like we're all just supposed to accept it. It's like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not bad anymore. It's like you killed a lot of people, dude. Damn,
yeah.
I'm
I'm a good guy now.
yeah,
That's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I put that fine. But yeah. So you know, she has a lightsaber appear via this force dyad between them two. She then starts to try and fight back against Palpatine by pushing forward with these two
Mm,
lightsabers.
yeah.
Now, the scene that we were told that we were going to get, and as I said, this is the reason why I couldn't enjoy this film so much, due to the fact of the previous movies that we've seen and how they led, and seeing so many leaks, was I was told in the other version of this film, when she said, "Be with me," Force Ghost would appear.
Mm.
One person in particular I was very happy was going to be Anakin, was going to appear, and it was going to
Well,
be other
Hayden
people.
apparently there's big rumors that he was on set, but if it got filmed, if it got
Hmm.
scrapped, don't know. I don't know. It's big
So
rumors.
so apparently when she was to walk forward, because
Mm,
if you watch the film, there's
mm.
actually like a line that kind of appears around her.
Yeah,
They were going to all appear adjacently. There would have been, I believe, from what I remember, it was going to be Anakin was going to be next to her, and on the other side it would have been Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Yoda, and you know, even
nice. Yeah,
you know, Mace, Ahsoka, so on and so forth. So many Jedi that would have appeared, and it would have given that scene more validity, because it just fell flat with her
mm,
just essentially walking forward and her giving the exposition that all the Jedi then live within her, which
yeah,
made no sense, because it's like you're not the chosen. Like, not even she's not the chosen one. It's like, but you haven't given us a reason for
yeah,
us to believe that that would happen to you. We've seen
yeah.
nothing apart from a very small amount of training with her.
I can understand why they did it in a really nuanced kind of way. Is because Kathleen Kennedy changed the Force to be female, and if you had all them false ghosts, you have unless you're a nerd, you have minimal on-screen female Jedi come forward. Clone Wars, you have more, of course,
Yeah.
but the actual ones. So she proclaimed that she didn't want that because Rey had to do it herself. Ben backing her up. No. And it's a really stupid idea. It's like, who cares? It's the Jedi. It's the Jedi. Who cares about sex? It's literally the Jedi. And she just lost it. Like that whole point. It would have enhanced that whole scene. Caught at tenfold. And everybody would have come out happy. They would have still gone back and gone, I don't like it, but I'm happy with
But at
those
least it
scenes.
ended this way, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
was the biggest problem with it was she essentially there was he got what was it in the exposition as well with Ben. He gets flung to one side, and Palpatine says something along the lines of, "Just as once I fell, now you shall." And I was just like, "What are you doing? There's just no need for this." Like,
It's on the nose. But
you
at
know,
that same point, you get Poe, don't you, going up in the sky going, oh, it's all over. I can't do it. It's all blah, blah, blah. Whilst we got these space horses running
yeah,
around.
and it was
And
like,
you're
"Oh,"
like, oh,
and the lines of exposition like, "Oh, no one's coming. You're not on your own,
yeah,
kid." And then all of a sudden, it's just like, well, okay, man, this scene really annoyed me because it's like, okay, we get a glimpse at the ghost from Rebels. We
yeah.
don't even know that you lot have any. I will understand you're all the good guys, but how do you lot know each other? It doesn't make any sense. We get so many shots of ships from different forms of Star Wars media
Mm.
that are not in the main movies or even in like their legends or canon or whatever they've put the banners of it to be under, because there's certain things that they've just kind of like, left, and other things that they've expanded upon. That scene made no sense. And they were all trying to take down what I can't even remember the second plot because there was a subplot. They were all trying to take down with the space horses a relay system so
Yeah.
that these what was it? It was
No,
a
what it was the
satellite system.
relay that
But
got transferred. Then
they
it got
took one
transferred to the
down
main one.
and then he
Yeah.
transferred it over to another one. And then it turned out that they had to take these certain ones down in this close proximity because then
Mm.
they would knock out the relay system. And even within them saying that, and then he was like, "Oh, he'll just transfer it to another one." I was like, "So what are you doing?" Like it, and to be honest, none of that even matters if Ray kills Palpatine because it all stops because
Yeah.
he's in control of it. And it's like,
Yeah, because
well,
he gives that false power, doesn't he? Like they all go blue ships, don't
yeah.
they? At one
Oh,
point,
that
you're
was
like,
the other
oh,
thing as well. I know this is way back earlier in the movie.
yeah.
What did you think of him initially just raising his hands and like a whole armada of ships just come out of nowhere? And he's like, "Yes, I can control electricity on a whole solar system." You're like, "You're
It's
one person, my guy."
it's just to show you, oh look, everybody can lift. I don't know. It's just stupid. But it's just like that whole how I think the worst bit of this is you've got apparently the smartest, most manipulated, can manipulate people, Sith in the known universe as we know it as to be, who uses Sith lightning or Force lightning or whatever you want to call it, and how she destroys him is she has a saber, and then she goes, "I am all the Jedi," and then crosses him over. And the reason he gets destroyed is he repels his own lightning back at himself. And at that one point, he never thinks, shall I stop?"
Yeah.
He literally kills
His own
himself.
arrogance killed himself. So that literally just added another plot point to the plot hole to the film. So then, what was the point? So it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
you had to do that to get here to reflect it, but it's like you could have just stopped. And
Yeah.
if you stopped, it's just like she's not gonna outbest you with a lightsaber if you're this great amazing Sith that you claim
Yeah,
to be.
because he's retained his powers because he's taken their
Yeah,
part
he
of their
took their
life
life
force and
force
the diet.
because his
Yeah.
face had returned to how he previously looked because
Yeah.
he did the
So
full
he could
prayer
have stopped and gone, let's
And
go
in
through a duel
episode
then. Because
three, let's be honest, in episode three, he was a duelist.
Yeah.
So I was just
Yeah.
like,
And he was like, yeah, because he could have just gone, well, you can do that, I'll take out my
and
saber.
Ben's literally dead at this point. So it's just like, It's
Yeah,
just
he crawls out, doesn't he? But he's not in the scene. It's
yeah.
literally her against the world, and you're like, what are you doing? And then, yeah, it's terrible because you're like, even when
None of
he,
his followers helped either. That's the other thing.
no, that's what I'm about to say. Yeah,
At the start, there was millions of them, but then at
thousands
the
of,
end,
yeah,
they all just kind of watched like it was a game of football. They're like, "Who's
yeah.
gonna win?" It's just like, well, wouldn't you want him to win? And
Oh,
you're the Sith. You're gonna do underhand tactics, aren't you? So wouldn't you do something? Or is he so
oh.
powerful and so great that he can fry himself like a crispy chip, and he's just like, yes, this is nothing to me.
But then it even gets worse because then it even relates on to canon. Is like the next bit is Ray apparently dies, then Kylo does force healing, and then he dies, and then miraculously he can turn into a force ghost because he
He's redeemed
merges himself
because
in a
because
redeemed
he
in.
transferred Force essence and he stopped doing the things that he was doing. It's just like, I'm sorry, right? I know people had a big gripes with the fact that Anakin came back as a Force ghost, and I can understand why some people may not like that. But it's just like you that does not make any sense for Kylo. You've literally just gone,
No,
I'm good again. It's just like that doesn't work.
no,
You can't
because
kill thousands of people, and then you're just like, yeah, that's what I'm redeemed.
yeah, because when if you go to Return of the Jedi, and we spoke about that, watch out content on that is like when Vader does it, he is like he protecting his son, but he is getting struck down by lightning in a suit machine that is there
And it's designed
to
as a
kill him.
conductor to kill him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
conductor to kill him.
Yeah.
So he knows he's going to die. Any like
But he
that's his
still does it.
redemption. Is
Yeah.
redemption to death.
But
That
also,
is he redeemed.
and all right, and also onto that point as well. There's 6 films prior to that showing
Mm.
his like pull towards the dark
Yeah.
and the light side throughout that. But what I mean is like
Mm.
Kylo just all of a sudden, I'm a good guy now, and
Yeah.
then he's redeemed. It's fine. You can get a Force Ghost. You get a pass. It's just like that. That does not work like that. I'm sorry. I know I'm not in control of like how the Force is written, but it's like we've got so much books and lore and content that literally shows things to be
Mm.
different. That the Sith were supposed to be the only ones who could not create Force ghosts. It was like something that was written. They were not able to come back as
No,
manifestations of
they
the
could
Force.
only
You could
they
prolong
had
their
to
life,
be
but if you look at them as beings, they then
no,
if you look at a Sith, if you look at a Sith when they're an apprentice and when they become like a true Sith, they become hollow. The eyes normally become
yeah.
yellow. It's a
Well,
reflection of darkness.
there
It's
is
like a true dark.
a very Harry Potter thing. What probably it ripped off of this. It's like the Horcrux thing, isn't it? When they can possess an item or an area, but that's it. They can't do like what the
Yeah,
Jedi
okay,
can do.
Darth
Kind of like
moment, yeah. For
yeah,
example,
yeah.
Darth
They can
moment
go
is
into one place. That is it. But yeah, this even that would it? Yeah, it's just
well, to
like
that, did you feel like they took influence from Darth Moment with the whole Palpatine speaking through the mask and manipulating Kylo?
I just don't. I don't even
Did you
think they
remember?
even
Like,
looked.
I forget,
I don't think they even looked at any legends. I just think they just.
because I
I
didn't get
think that.
the whole line of expedition where he's just like, oh, when he first meets Palpatine and obviously raises his lightsaber towards him, and then
Mm,
like when he's no, sorry, when he's coming down actually the cylinder, and he's just like, I have in every voice that you've ever heard in
yeah,
your head, and he's like speaks in 4 different dialects of Vader, Palpatine, Snoke, and I can't
yeah,
remember. I think the last one might have actually been Plagueis, but it speaks in like 4 different dialects, and it's just like that literally makes no sense how you are so great within the Sith, like with your powers of being a
yeah.
Sith, that you've manipulated someone into. It's like, wouldn't you have any sort of force? Like, you wouldn't feel this dark energy that's just like pulling towards you all the time. But no, I just,
No, I unfortunately, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I think that is just a plot point to get Plagueis in there because he killed off Sonic. I don't think they even looked at it, but yeah, but do you know what? Even of that, we both agree there are points you go, oh, I like that, then I don't like that, and then like the ending of this movie so annoys me.
yeah,
There's points.
there's 3 things.
You there's loads of points,
Well,
but
okay, but
the
there's
first
three
bit
major things.
is why
Yep.
disrespect Anakin's saber. even though it's now apparently this right, like she buries it with layers.
Mhm.
Why? It's Anakin's. You didn't know Anakin.
Yeah.
You know Luke, Leia, but why? And then it's the whole the Lars homestead that's been half on the thing is the woman comes up and who are you? And then the Rey Skywalker. Who are you? What are you? I'm Rey. Rey what? I'm Rey. And then she looks out, doesn't she? And then the Force
Yeah,
goes of
that was
Leia and Luke.
the symmetry of Luke looking out towards the two suns. The other thing that really
Oh,
annoyed me as well, the lightsaber. Why are you the only person that decided to have a yellow lightsaber? What does that mean? What does that signify?
well,
Because lightsaber colors mean things, and I know people are like, "Oh, it's just a color." No, they mean things. They have a trajectory of what they mean. There is a reason
yeah.
why you have certain lightsaber colors.
Anybody who's a geek or a Star Wars fan knows they actually mean something.
And I
But
know people are all happy with
apparently,
the
do
fact
you
that
know
she.
why? Do you know why it's yellow? And this
Why?
is the most stupidest reason in the world. It's because Hasbro, when they first released the Luke Skywalker
Figures.
figures, they didn't do the digital coloring right. And when they first looked at it, it was yellow. So they made the lightsaber yellow in his farm outfit. That is what the callback is to JJ is to a bloody figure.
And
And
I
it's
have
not.
had
And
people try
everybody was like, no, it's not, because yellow is it there's consulate, there's all these other ones, like everybody knows, different colors, and the yellow was mostly there to put by the foul Jedi who were guards.
Mhm.
Now like the
Well, that
guard
was my
duty.
point because when I seen it, I was just like, that is disrespectful.
Yeah,
Because to have that color, and also as well the fact that I know like they tried to. I don't know if it was just me. I don't know if you felt this. I feel like they tried to add in the tinkerer aspect with like how Anakin was and how Luke was with tech with Ray because she's like a scrapper to an extent. I understand
well,
that
it's a
she
little bit.
expanded her bow staff into becoming a lightsaber, but the hilt of it that might as well be a double-ended lightsaber. No, seriously, guys, Google a
Yeah.
picture of Darth Maul's lightsaber, or even Savage Opress, or just look at a double-ended lightsaber and look how long the hilt is. To have a lightsaber hilt that long that you also manually turn like that. Why did she turn the lightsaber to ignite it? It's pointless. You do this. I've taken your hand.
Yeah, but it's stupid that whole. I didn't get it because like she has a staff. In other words, that hilt of that staff wouldn't be a hilt. It
Mhm.
would just be the staff. Isn't hollow, so she would have to hollow it out. What
Mhm.
would break the integrity of
The
the
stuff.
opponents of the staff? And you're
Yeah.
like, it just doesn't. It just again a bit so you're like, oh, it doesn't make sense. Oh, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like the whole Luke and Leia thing, why are they there together? It doesn't make sense.
No.
And then like, oh, but then she has already admitted that she's apparently a Skywalker.
Yeah, and that felt very.
It's like, oh,
It
that
was
is
just
I'm
like
not but
she did. There was nothing like, and I know they tried to push this narrative from the Last Jedi to this film with like little points where, like, I don't know, maybe in a way you could kind of say that Leia kind of seen Rey as a kind of daughter, but it's just like those words were never said. She never
yeah.
said you are now a Skywalker. No one in Star Wars would now go, do you feel like you're a Skywalker? You're now a Skywalker. It's like that doesn't
Well,
work.
she might as well just said, I'm Ray Windu.
Yeah.
Like, might as well, because it just would have made as much sense as
And
what
I
she
thought
did.
it would have been much stronger if she admitted that she's Ray Palpatine.
Yes, own it. Own it.
Because it's
Literally,
just
I
like
will
the
not
whole
fall.
thing of this movie was you cannot hide from who you are, Ray. You cannot
Yeah.
hide from who you are, Ray. Be who you are, Ray. And at the end of the movie, she's like, nope, I'm a Skywalker. You're just like,
Yeah.
what? Because you have a redemption kind of arc that in your mind entails you to then be a Skywalker. That disrespects their name because that
But
just
yeah,
makes
but if you look at the Palpatine name in law, and people have to go and look this up, he's not just a senator. He's come from a lineage
the
of
lineage
royal,
of the Ray royal
like
family.
way back. It'd be like the third generation of royalty in Naboo. So her lineage, if she found out that, would be like, I'm going to own this. I'm going to go back to Naboo. I'm going to find my lineage and actually be a Palpatine and actually redeem the name again and actually, you know, respect my
And that
family
would have
tree or
been a better
whatever.
arc as well, because that would have shown that anybody can change and anybody can
Yeah,
redeem themselves and
yeah.
all that sort of stuff. But she decided to play off the fact that, you know, the Skywalker name and obviously legend is like
Mm.
a big legend throughout the Star Wars like universe. But more than anything, yeah, it just didn't make any sense for her to just all of a sudden,
No.
you know, it felt like she was trying to live up to the expectations of something that was never put in place. Like throughout these films, we all know who Anakin is, we all know who Luke is, and we all know who Leia is. We did, and all right, I know they put Ben in place, but I felt like that made more sense if Ben had said that. It's like, yeah, you're actually a Skywalker. It's just like
Yeah.
there was no redemption for Ben either. He was a placeholder character in that film. It's like you're
But you
dead,
see,
you're alive, get out
they
of it.
wanted this. Oh, who is Ray? But not telling anybody who Ray is, and then they just got confused, and it just it's just and you can tell like how weird this was because you had all the plot leaks, but then you had apart from that, you had the biggest leak, and I think away from this, you had the screenplay of the Bind movie of the. I know you don't like the name of it, the
Yeah,
Duel of the Fates.
yeah.
What was a hell? It wasn't a like I've read the screenplay, and I know a lot of YouTubers have done their own take on the screenplay and all that of what how great it would have been. It isn't that great.
No,
It's
but
if you
compared
go
to
by
what
that,
we
it's
have,
a 5 out of 10. That movie would have been a 5, maybe 6 out of 10. This movie, if you in comparison to it, yeah, the Duel of the Fates would have been a brilliant movie, and I think that's why people led to that. Then how did Disney even allow that to get leaked? But then they just didn't care. By then they just didn't care because they were like, "Oh, people might be interested in going back and watching this
I
movie."
feel like the leaks was actually perpetuating people to watch the film.
Yeah,
That was
it did.
another interest point for me before I watched this
Mm.
movie. Eventually, was as I said, I didn't like the previous movies prior to it. They were you know they weren't completely bad, but they weren't great prior to 1 to 6. And because of what I've seen online and what I had heard about, you know, certain scenes, and then as we said, you know, this movie got revised and changed so many times. Even Daisy Ridley said it, and other actors and actresses. That it kind of made me want to watch the film because I was like, well, maybe what if they get one of these things that I've heard right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I didn't
completely.
get anything.
I think they were purposely leaked. If I actually said that, because I think looking back at it, this movie is
It
such a
was just to
mess.
create
It makes you more interested to go, "Ooh, would they
what's
even
going on.
dare making that
Yeah,
mistake?"
what are they
And
gonna
then
do
you see
here?
it, and you're like, "Oh my god, they did." So, but yeah. So anyway, let's go on to let's score this
Well,
absolutely mess of a movie.
I will let you go first. So
Okay, I'm gonna give it. Mm, got to be, or it's got to be quite low. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. And the only reason I'm giving it a 3 is because it retcons some of the Last Jedi, but it retcons it in a stupid way. But that's it. If the Last Jedi wasn't here, this would be a what? It would be a 2. It would be. It
okay,
would be. But I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10.
all right, okay, all right. Let me try to think. What would I give this movie? So I had to watch it because it's a Star Wars film. And without watching it, I don't feel like this film really added anything to the franchise. I feel like this movie I cannot score higher than a 2 due to the fact that it writ out Anakin's arc. There was too much fan service to the point
Mm.
that it felt like this was a movie that I could watch on YouTube. It didn't feel
Yeah.
like a big major screen release. There was so much hype and anticipation into it that didn't pay off. I feel like if we got the movie that you rated to be a 5 out of 10, I feel like that movie might have even been a 6 out of 10, just due to the facts of in comparison of what I got to see and what I paid money to see in the cinema.
Yeah.
It's the only Star Wars film, and lucky enough, we ended up with Disney Plus that I don't actually own. I own every other Star Wars film. I do not own The Rise of Skywalker. I
Mm.
don't own it. So this film, too much fan service, too many plot points that didn't pay off. Yes, we got some cool visual scenes, force abilities we never get to see again, and lines of expedition that led nowhere, I cannot give this anything higher than a 2 out of 10. It is a Star
Yeah.
Wars movie, but I feel like it was any movie just with a Star Wars aesthetic kind of paint thrown over it, and it was
Quite a
just
lot.
here you go. So I can't
Yeah.
give this any higher than
Yeah. I wouldn't call it fan service. I would actually call it bad fun fan service.
yeah, but that's what I mean. This is why with my point earlier
Yeah.
on. How can you make a movie that is so heavily pushed with fan service and you still annoyed
You
all
missed the mark. Yeah.
yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So, what is your rating out of the 1 to 9 of the Star Wars films? As we did say, we are going to rank them.
What number one first? My favorite.
How do you want to start? Do you want to start from
Okay,
favorite?
I can easily do this because I many a times I have thought about this.
Right.
Without Solo and Rogue One,
Yes.
my number one is Empire Strikes Back, then followed by a New Hope, and then followed by Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
So then my top three, and then I would go on to Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones,
hmm
Force Awakens,
Yeah.
then Rise of Skywalker, and then Dead Bottom, In the Dirt. Yeah, I can't say it without yeah, The Last Jedi. Yeah, would be it's just literally. But if you put Rise, My Last Jedi is somewhere down there.
All right.
That's
a good list though, and I can see that you favor more towards OTs, but that's when you got introduced towards Star Wars.
Yeah.
So mine's more of a prequely type list, not too much, but like so if we were going to go number one for me, I've said before, obviously it's Revenge of the Sith, just because of I don't know that film. I can watch that film. I can watch the Star Wars film at any time, not including the Disney ones. But 1 to 6, that's my favorite Star Wars film of all time. But anyways, on my list, Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back. I would then say the Phantom Menace. I would then say A New Hope. I would then say Return of the Jedi. Then I would then say the Clone Wars. And I like the Clone Wars as a movie, but I think out of the
Attack
six,
of the Clones.
yeah, sorry, I like Clone Wars too much.
Attack of the
Attack of the Clones because I think it's the weakest one out of the 6. Because
Correct,
as I said previously when we did the review of it, it felt more like a war movie than a Star Warsy movie. Okay, so then it gets us on to these 3. So then, The Force Awakens. No, yeah, The Force Awakens because it set up some good plot points of things that could have
been, yeah.
They didn't, but then I would say The Last Jedi, and then dead last for me in the dirt down there is the Rise of Skywalker.
The thing is, like, we've heard, you guys, you've heard the scores, and I'm guessing you're gonna disagree or agree.
Yeah,
but there's that 1 to 9, and there's that 1 to 6 here. Then there's a big gap, isn't there? Just
the 1 to 6 that I have, right? My 1 to 6, it will always be OTs and it will always be prequels because, as you just said, there's a big gap, but they feel like separate. Like 1 to 6 feels like the Skywalker saga. This, to me, as I said earlier on, it's the Palpatine saga. Even though, in a sense, as you said, it is technically 1 to 9. The Palpatine saga, but it felt like its own entity. So 1 to 6 on my list is always going to consider to be OTs, and there will always be prequels. It will There's them films, and there's nothing in them films that's ever going to make me go, "Oh, that's actually number 5." No.
If you take out A New Hope, because this would be a stupid statement otherwise, but like, if you changed any characters' names, from 1 to 6 and changed it all about, it wouldn't make sense. Because they have a continuation story.
Yeah, they chronologically run on in the way.
Yeah. Even A New Hope, and then going back to what it was, but even 1 to 6, or like 4, and then going back to 1, they all go. But you can't change that character unless a minor character but you can't change it without making people going, what's happened there?
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense. These three movies, you could change the whole
they're not
lot and
crucial to the
would
plot
still
in
make.
any way at all,
They're
and you can
not.
watch them in any sort of order, and they wouldn't still make any sense.
Yeah, if you took out the whole Skywalker, would oh, would these movies be better or worse?
Standalone movies.
Yeah, standalone movies, and they weren't anything to do with Skywalker.
I believe so, but I also think that you had a very good point back on one of our previous episodes when you were saying about Force Awakens should have been its own arc where it was like three
Yeah.
films. Same with Rise, same with the next one, because we had these changing directors. And yes, I know they changed on OTs and other things, but they had a continuation of a story that made sense, that carried over with the other directors, and George was heavily there. Regardless of whether George is there or not, have people involved in the IP of Star Wars that really love it. If, like, for example, if Dave Filoni writ these three Star Wars films, I feel like I know he does animated stuff and other things, but
See, I disagree. I disagree.
I feel
I
like
know,
it would
like,
have
this is going to be a
been a lot
conversation
better.
of things, but I think there's too much with the hype of Dave at the moment, and like, there's so much influence that a executive producer, isn't he now, could have, and like, you can't just lean it to blame the storyboard guys. It's like to me, they should all be sacked by now, and they're not. But how much influence has he got? If he's got that
You
much
also can't
influence,
blame the actors either, because if
yeah.
you
Oh
give
no,
a
the
bad
actors.
script, you can't make a bad. You can't, regardless of how good your acting is, you cannot make a bad story a good story.
Yeah,
You know,
I can't. Oh yeah, here we go. Who's one of the most famous Welsh actors? Go on, as your
which
played Hannibal.
oh, I know his name, but I can't remember his name. Yeah, it's Hannibal Lecter. I know you're talking about, but yeah,
Yeah, he once said that we're just stupid people just reading lines, and
yeah,
that's what you have to take them back. You're getting a job and read these lines. You can never blame an actor for the character they're portraying. If you
yeah.
do, look at yourself, and because they are saving a job. If they're terrible at acting, then have a go at the actor. If they're betrayed because of dialogue and the story, that's
And
it. And that's
that's
what
my
happened to
main point.
Rose.
That's my
Okay,
main
finish.
point with Rise of Skywalker. If you don't have a story,
By the way,
everything else.
Sir Anthony Hopkins, I believe.
Exactly. Uh, my point with Rise of Skywalker, as you said, story needs to be there. There was no story there, so it doesn't matter how much money that they spent on the visual effects. If there's no story, it doesn't make any sense. Same with the music. There was This was the only Star Wars film that I've ever watched that has made me lose immersion in the film every 10 to 15 minutes, and I had to literally sit there and be like, no, this correlates in some sort of way. I have never had to go back and forth on watching the Star Wars film.
Yeah,
Whether I've liked that movie as in my favorite Star Wars film, or whether it's not been my favorite Star Wars film, I've still felt like I've been immersed in this world. This film felt like it had too many meta jokes, too many callbacks, and too many references for me to be able to take this film seriously. And that's why it will never, for me, unless and we've heard that they are supposed to be making more Star Wars films.
yeah,
Unless they make a film that's worse than this is never going to get anywhere higher
yeah.
on the rankings.
It's a shame because as you know, I
As much as I
constantly
want to
I
like,
go back, not just going 1 to 6. I will go back and watch the Clone Wars. What I'm doing now, we'll watch even the Bad Batch, Mandalorian. What I find subpar, but it's still good to watch.
yeah,
And like the Rebels, all these things I will rewatch. These movies, if I had to pick something, these are last
I
on
have
my list
only
to
rewatched
think
these
about.
films because we have been reviewing them over
Yeah.
the last periodically the last couple of months.
Mm.
Otherwise, 1 to 6. I've already given my order of 1 to 9, but 1 to 6, I can put on any of the films from 1 to 6 and enjoy watching them. Clone Wars, I
Yeah.
watch it all the time. At this moment in time, all right, I know it's nothing to do with the main series, but I'm watching a lot of Visions. There's a
Yeah.
lot of other
Yeah.
media of Star Wars that I watch that I can watch at any point in time and enjoy it. Even
Yeah.
that, I put it this way, I would rather watch the Star Wars documentaries of like behind the magic of like how things are made than watch one of these films. These
Oh
films
yeah,
are hard for
100%.
me to watch, and as a Star Wars fan, I don't even like saying that, but it's true
Yeah.
because there's such a disconnect with the OTs and prequel fans. I feel that they particularly made it that way so they could usher in these new fans of Star
Yeah.
Wars fans. And yes, okay, we understand they're a company, they're there to sell products, but if you don't make something that connects with your core fan base, you're damaging your IP.
No, it is terrible because I would rather watch one of the Jar Jar Clone Wars episodes than any of these.
Some of them
And
are
that's
okay.
saying something.
Yeah.
But that's grasping because at least they're a bit of fun, but they're a bit stupid and you can forget about them. But at least they literally are a bit more Star Wars than, unfortunately, I feel like these are. But
Well,
yeah,
I feel like this was never made for us as fans. I think this was made for to draw in a newer audience, and unfortunately, it didn't even.
I don't. I think it's for Disney to get rebate of their billions. Sorry, not millions, billions they gave George.
Well, I also feel like what you said earlier on about them trying to make it Marvel. That's what I mean by them trying to get the new fans in, because Marvel has now got to the point that they appeal for everyone, if you get what I mean. And they try to apply that sort of aesthetic to Star Wars, where it's its own IP and it has its own, not niche, but like, put it this way, you either like Star Wars or you don't like Star Wars. There's two types. No, there's two types of people, but like, either you like Star Wars and you've watched a couple of movies, or you like Star Wars and you're like, okay, I've seen Clone Wars, I've seen Rebels, I've seen this, I've seen that.
My girlfriend is exactly like that. She
Some
likes
people
Star
don't even
Wars,
like
but
it.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah, you love Star Wars.
She will take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But I will, for some reason, I proper take it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I hope you guys have obviously enjoyed this 3-part episode. I knew this was going to be a long one because it wasn't an easy film to review, but we have tackled 1 to 9, so don't forget to obviously go and check out the previous episodes. What I'm going to do on my channel is, and I'm going to add in your videos as well, I'm going to create a playlist and I'm going to put all of them in a chronological order. So if you guys want to like watch through that at any point, and you want to see what we may have thought of maybe episode 1, or maybe episode 5, or whichever episode it is. But I just want to give a massive shout out to Jedi as well, because I've really enjoyed doing this sort of content and like getting your opinion and my opinion, and basically just having an excuse to watch Star Wars Star Wars films again. Not that I don't watch them all the time, but is there any content or anything you got coming out, anything you want to let people know about?
I've been a bit delayed because of my holiday, but yeah, I've got to do the trailers. I've got my own fan story I've got to do. I know we've got the free episode, and that's got to be very 21st, isn't it?
Because you asked me to do
Andor
with Clone Wars. I remember beforehand.
We said, we're going to do, we'll say with Clone Wars, we're going to do the breakdown of season 1, then season 2, but we've got the more exciting thing. What we both agree on is Visions.
Yes.
So that's going to be, we're
going to break down through Visions. One of them is actually considered to be canon as well, so I will talk more about that to you in
the Jewel. Is that a Jewel?
Yes. And also, as well, just to announce to you guys, I have been saying over the last couple of weeks I was going to make a podcast. So the first person that is going to be on my podcast will be Jedi to Jedi in a little while's time. So look out for that one. But it's just been
everything and every bit not probably Star Wars and a little bit more. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And so some exciting things are coming for us in the future anyways, but it's been great to obviously review all these movies. I want you guys to let us know in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my ranking? Do you agree with Jedi to Jedi's ranking? What is your ranking of the Star Wars films? You might love this film. If you do love this film, let us know in the conversation, the comments down below. You might think we're completely wrong about what we're saying. You could agree with us, but what are you?
Yeah, but it'd be great. I would love to see people's 1 to 9. I would just to see the difference. It's always great to see. Like whatever you think, which order, it's always great to see, and it's always had a great conversation about that difference. But do it.
Don't forget to check out the fact that there's going to be new Star Wars content coming out soon. So that's going to be great to watch and look into. And we just appreciate your time here today. If you've enjoyed the video, leave a like on the video. I've been GNG News. Jedi to Jedi has been Jedi to Jedi, and we will catch up with you real soon. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace.